Let's look at today's lesson. So for this, you should have your vocabulary complete. So what I need you to do is go ahead and fold this down the center line. And we are going to make our first unit divider. So page 5 is right here. You are actually going to wrap the page around page 5. Wrap this yellow sheet around it. So see how I have page 5 and 6? You're going to wrap it around so that page 5 has the unit 1, page 6 has the vocabulary. So remember with your gluing, dot, dot, not a lot. You just need to do 4 on the corners. And whenever you do it, you're going to keep this out. It's going to be outside of the page because this is a divider. This makes it a tab that you can easily turn to. So all I did was 4 dots on this side. Now I'm going to flip it over in page 6. I'm going to do 4 dots over here. Don't do a ton because it's going to make your page really soggy. So you should have it wrapped around the page now. So this is unit 1. Dot, dot, not a lot with that glue. Okay, so we are going to start our first notes page. Okay, so this is the notes that we are doing today. Go ahead and write your name on it. In case we don't finish it and glue it in, write your name on it. So before we get started on our new notes, I do want to look at the unit divider. So this tells us what our unit is about. And it also tells us the skills that we're going to learn. So it says linear expressions, one variable equations, and inequalities. These are the skills that the state of Texas tells us that we have to learn. So remember the lead, the page 2 and 3, the TEKS tracker. This tells us everything that we learned throughout the year. So each unit will be covering some of those skills. After we learn it, then we'll highlight it on those TEKS trackers on page 2 and 3. So the readiness is solve linear equations in one variable, including those for which the application of distributive property is necessary, for which variables are on both sides. 5B, solve linear inequalities. 10A, add and subtract polynomials, use the distributive property. And 12E, solve mathematical and scientific formulas and other literal equations for a specific variable. So those are all the skills we're going to learn in this unit. And the divider tells you what the unit is. So expressions, equations, and inequalities. You should have your vocabulary completed. After each unit, I will be grading your journal to make sure everything is complete. So your vocabulary needs to be done, and that's part of your journal grade, which is a quiz grade. So let's go ahead and look at our first foldable. So we are going to fill in the blanks and write a few notes, a few examples of each. The boxes are for extra notes. An algebraic expression written with numbers, letters, or both. So it's just one term. So this is a term. So you can have one term, but if you have multiple terms, it becomes an expression. So an example of this would be 5, just a number would be a term. A variable, or both. So let's say 6b. And it could also have exponents. So I'm going to write one with exponents. So 7x squared y cubed. That is a term. The next word is, the definition would be the number in front of a variable. It's called a coefficient. It's a number in front of a variable. Coefficient. Let me move this out of the way. So a coefficient is anything that's in front of the variable. So let's say we have 5x, 7y, 2/3, so 2/3, wz, and then abc. So these are all terms. So the coefficients are the numbers in front of the variables. So the coefficient for this would be 5. That's the coefficient of 5x. 7y. 7. 2/3 wz. What about just ABC? What's the coefficient? 0. It's the number in front. If there's nothing out front, what would that mean there is? 0. A 1. You got it. Not a 0, because if it says 0 ABC, that means there's 0 of them, so they get wiped out. So it's an understood 1 in front of any letter. Okay, the next word, the definition is the number or variable holding up the exponent. So this is called the base. So if I have the example of 6 to the 3rd power, the base is the number holding the exponent up. So 6 would be the base. Another one, I'm going to put a comma and put x squared. It would just be x. Those are your bases. Hopefully some of this is coming back to you. Okay, the next definition, the power above the base tells how many times the base should be multiplied. So if this is the base, what is that? Yep. So if we have the examples of x squared, ab to the 4th, and 4 squared. Let's look at where the exponents are. So 2 would be an exponent, right? What's the exponent of a? A is 1. So if there's nothing there, that exponent is automatically 1. What about b? 4. And then 4 squared, the exponent is 2. Okay. Yep. Terms that contain the same variable raised to the same exponent. They're called like terms. I know you've heard the phrase combine like terms, right? So negative 74x is a like term. So I put a little and sign. A backwards 3 with a line through it is my and. 3x. Those are like terms. I can combine them by just adding their exponents. So negative 74 and a positive 3. And then for x squared has a like term with, let's say, half x squared. They have the same variable and exponent. Terms that contain different variables raised to different exponents. So if this is like terms, if they're not the same, they're different, they are unlike terms. So a negative 4x squared and 4x cannot be combined because they are not the same exponent. They both have x, but they don't both have squared. If I have a 4a, I cannot combine that with a 4ab. Those are unlike terms. Cannot combine unlike terms. You have to keep them separated. Only like terms can be combined when adding or subtracting. They must contain the same variable and exponent or they cannot be combined. Just a reminder there. All right, let's keep on rolling. Simplifying expressions. So let's get to some work. We've gone over some definitions. Let's get to work now. So if I have 5x plus 2y minus 3x plus y, I'm going to simplify the expression. To simplify the expression, I combine like terms and or distribute. So I'll use different circles or underline or different colors even to identify the like terms. So 5x and negative 3x. Those are like terms. And then 2y and positive y. Those are like terms. So one way that you can do it is rearrange them and then add them together. Just make sure you take your sign with you. Or you can just look at them and let's say 5x and negative 3x. If I have 5 and I take away 3x, I get a 2x. So see how the 2x is right here? It's solved for you. And then 2y plus y makes that 3y. So that is the simplified version of the one above it. So that's what you're going to do on these 6 problems. You're going to combine like terms. You can only combine like terms. So this first one, we have 8n minus 6n. So if I have 8, I take 6n away. How many do I have left? 2n. Okay, and it's over here. Here's kind of a help, a guide for you. So you can mark that out. Already used it. 12n plus 12 minus 8. I can't combine 12n with anything. It's by itself. So I'm just going to rewrite it. But then I have a positive 12 and a negative 8. So I have 12 minus 8. Yep, it's 4. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple minutes to work on this on your own now. Okay, so let's see how you did on it. So this next one we have 6n minus 2n, because you just ignore the plus 11. This 2n has a negative attached to it, so it's 4n plus 11. You always want to put the variable first. That's the term that you want to put first, and then you'll put the number that's by itself next. So n, and then a 9n. So that makes a 10n. And then a positive 10 and a negative 3. 10 minus 3 plus 7. So far, so good. Okay, the next one we have an n and then a negative 5n. Yep, but is it positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative, because this is your bigger sign. Bigger number. Negative 4n. And then what about this?
Negative 5.
Yep, minus 5. And the last one, 7n minus 21n.
Negative 14.
Negative 14n. And then these, negative 4 plus 7 plus 3. Good. Okay, let's do one with multiple variables. I'm going to add an extra problem. So 2ab plus 6a minus 7ab plus b. They must have the exact same variables. These two have the same exact variables, and A and B. A, B is together. You can't separate them. You can't pull them apart. You got to keep them together. So if I have 2 and I take 7 away, how many do you have?
Negative 5 AB.
Yep, negative 5AB. And then this doesn't have anything like with it, right? So plus 6A. And then just plus B. That's right. Put a box around it.
I think we're ready for the test.
Ready for the test? Okay. Let's look at the next page. What is the distributive property? And when do you need the distributive property? So let's look. A property that has a number multiplied by an expression. So let's give an example over here. If I have 5, parentheses, x plus 2. Do you remember what you do when there's a parentheses on the outside? I'm going to multiply this 5 by sending it in. So if there's a 5 here and it goes to x, it becomes 5 times x, making it 5x. And then you also, don't forget, you have to multiply it by the second term also. So 5 times 2, making that 10. Yep. 5x plus 10. If there is a negative or a minus sign in front of the 5, you have to take the whole thing. So let's look at these problems down here. And you're going to go ahead and distribute. Let's look at this. We've already done similar ones. Look at this one. 6 parentheses 2x plus 3. I'm going to multiply the 6 times the 2x. So 6 times 2x, 12x. And the 6 times the 3 now, plus 18. Let's see, is that somewhere on the right side? Yep. Mark it out. Okay, let's go to another one. Let's go to this one. -2 parentheses negative x plus 5.
1. 1x.
Yeah, that's like a 1x right there. I can put a 1 right here. If there's no number in front of the variable, then it's 1. So if I have a -2 times a -1, negative times a negative becomes a positive. Positive 2, yeah. Okay, so a negative times a negative becomes a positive. Same signs when you multiply give you a positive. All right, and then -2 times a positive 5. -10, good. You can write it either way. Yeah, it's the same. All right, so what I want you to do is finish the rest of these problems.